Good morning, mindful leaders. Thanks for coming back to the channel and participating. I'm getting a lot of your comments, and I'm grateful for that. And through some of the correspondence I've had, I thought I'd do probably a mini series on the hiring process and how to recruit people, and from my point of view, and what's worked for me. And again, please subscribe so that you can follow along in these mini series of the hiring process. I think even if you're not in the position of hiring, understanding what goes into it would help, even if you're looking for a position, right? Kind of behind the scenes, like what the employer, or at least in my point of view, what an employer looks for, or how they go about selection process. But I thought let's start with, in the position of I am a hiring manager or director, and how do I go about, what's the process internally to get the ball rolling? So the first part of this series is going to be on the internal sort of how do you get yourself set up for success. Uh, so so personally, what I like to do is annually I will revisit my staffing requirements, and also from that any skill sets that I might have a gap in. Now, you got to remember also that the company grows and the priorities change, and the objectives for the company change. So you want to have a diverse skill set in your team so you can meet as many demands as you can. So that's why I like to revisit my staffing requirements. And if I'm a little high in one area, then what I'll do is some internal training, and then get people to take on different responsibilities, to kind of fill the gaps internally. But so yearly, I look at, okay, here's my staffing requirements. Have I met them? Have I got gaps? Then what I want to do is I want to present something to whoever's approving it, right? So it'd be my boss. It could be the C level or director level. It could be a manager too. Your manager might come to you as a lead and say, "Hey, who do I need?" It's hiring time again, and so you can bubble this up to them in the same sort of way. And I like to do it annually at least, because so that I'm ready. Because if the company all of a sudden has a budget for hiring, or hiring freeze is off, then I want to be prepared, right? Where I can present what I need and it's ready to go. I don't want to start the process scrambling around what do I need and all this. So it's top of mind for most leaders to be proactive in queuing up what they need. So once I know kind of what I need, as far as the skills, then I want to see if there's any positions within the company that fit within this skill set that I need. Title first, and then if not, then I've got to create a whole new position, right? And I'm not talking about just replacing people here. I'm talking about, that I have a skill set. Um, is there a position, like a pre-made job description that I can use from HR, that's already kind of been approved as far as the position or JD is considered, where I can just say, okay, I'm going to use this again. And that might be the case, for certain engineers or salespeople and so forth. Um, but you want to identify, does this create a new position, right? A new job description that needs to be created. Um, and then once you have that, uh, your next thing is to get approval, right? And that usually, like I said, that usually comes from your boss or C level, and they're going to have to probably pitch it, right? Or they might say, okay, well, I've got a budget. I've got, Ed, I agree that you need this position, and so you get one head count for this, or you maybe get two, depending on the circumstance. But if I back up as far as justification for this, I think you need to present to your boss sort of, okay, well, here's my structure, here's my department structure, or this is my structure, and here's where I see the gaps and where we're going. So you got to base it on kind of the objectives of the company and or the larger department. In my case, the engineering department. So I was a separate department that reported into engineering. Um, so, but I was kind of had autonomy. I wasn't, reporting right to the. I reported to the CTO. So I need to pitch how my services, my department, tied into the rest of the larger, organizational department, and where I was lacking, and where I tried to fill that gap with my current team, and show that I had reached kind of a capacity or a saturation point where my team couldn't effectively take on much more. So this is all part of the internal workings. And so you pitch your position, they approve it. Now, the job description part. Now, there might be one that still exists. And for me, I've worked in startups where I was army of one. So a lot of ambiguity, right? A lot that I've had to create over the years. So it was a treat just to have a job description I could use and I could tweak, accordingly. But if you're starting off from scratch, I will go into that a little bit more. But I think for now in this video, I'll say that we already have a job description. Now, I don't like using copy paste. I want to ensure that the job description is reflective in the roles and responsibilities part. You might not have much latitude to change an already approved HR JD in certain aspects of it, right? Salary range, title, who they report into, that kind of stuff, right? But you should have the latitude to change some of the roles and responsibilities in there and to fine tune. But don't get too finite because you need the flexibility if you're in a very dynamic environment, working environment. You don't want to tie people into one thing, or you don't want to broaden their scope without them knowing. So I think the job description, the way I look at it is, when a candidate looks at a job description, they want a sense of what they'll be doing, 70-80% of the time, right? And they that way they can match their skill set and their experience up to that. And that's kind of how I look at it. It's not like, oh, I got you, or now you're going to do this, and that's not how I look at it. It's a representation of what I'm looking for, and that's why it's important to do the work up front of what you're looking for. So you might be diving down. Like for me, if we were doing a new project and we needed, like next year, and we needed certain coding experience, or we needed someone more experienced in the testing aspect of it, then this is where I'd have it prepared that I was looking for, X number of years more experience. Or maybe instead of just an engineer, I was looking for a senior engineer that did automation. And you can tie it to your own job, your own niche here. And those are kind of the modifications you want to make sure. You don't just copy and paste and then, I forgot to change that, or, you just, yeah, do it right. Then from there, you can submit that to HR along with the approval. Each company does it different as far as, how do they submit to HR for an open headcount. Some of it's automated through online, some of it's in an email. It's really something that hopefully your company, your HR component can help you through, right? Saying, hey, I've got approval from my boss for this. How would you like this submitted, right? And I already have a JD, that's been used before, and I've just made a couple tweaks, and we're good to go. So you want to submit that to HR. Now, the part that comes next for me is How do I want to recruit for this job? How do I want to go about this? And you could go from everywhere from do an internship. We still had to go through recruitment for an internship, whether they get paid or not, or whatever their pay was, all the way to contract position, to full time, to part time. It doesn't, it really shouldn't matter when it comes to recruitment, as far as But you need to, as part of the submission to HR, you would say, what is this, a term position? Is this full time, part time? What is it, right? But what I'm saying is, how do you want to recruit for this? Do you have in mind yourself what social channels you want to use, what publications you want to put out to newspapers? It's kind of old school, but do you want LinkedIn? Do you want Indeed? Do you want, so an HR might have their go-to ones. It could be Monster. So they can suggest certain ones, but I think as a hiring manager, you should have some input into that. And if you have some experience in hiring, then you will know what can be more successful for you. But sometimes they've got contracts. The HR's got contracts with these certain online recruitment firms, so you might have to take advantage of that. And so. But there is other ways, and depending on the level that you're recruiting, if I'm just recruiting kind of frontline individuals, then I might be less selective. As you start getting more specialized, now specialized meaning you could go vertically or horizontally here, but let's talk about vertical as far as senior positions, lead managers, directors. Okay, so when I hired at higher levels, then it became more of a specialized recruitment, or they call it headhunting, and sometimes it made more sense to use certain third-party recruitment where they had a pool of people to choose from. They did the initial sort of vetting for your skill set that your HR would pass on to them to say, here's what we're looking for. So they might do the initial stuff and vet it and then pass on to you. Again, that's not always the case because it does cost more money, and I think it depends on how successful maybe you've been in trying to find someone for this. It might be a point where you start off with LinkedIn and Monster and all those, and then you have no success and it's been open for a while. Then you might go to, if it's a key position, you might then want to go and use a third-party recruiter. I haven't had much luck with that, with third-party recruiters, just from the standpoint that their vested interest is just to get you to hire someone and sign contract. I've had very little success in people that have aligned with what I'm looking for, and they'll put stuff in front of me that doesn't align with my discussions with them, and so I'd be hesitant to go that way. Now, if you get up into the director level you're hiring, then you might have more success. It's a different realm. And so you have executive firms. I'm not saying that they're any better, but I think as you move up in the ranks or move vertically into very niche and very specific areas, the pools are smaller, right? Not as many to choose from. So really, the third party recruiters have to have a lot of networking, and you might not have that networking. Your HR department might not have all that networking, so it might make more sense then. But I think for the majority of the cases, going the normal route should work. And in the end, it's not all about the skill set, right? And this will be in further videos in the series. Is just as far as what I'm looking for and what I look for in the interviews and so forth. But I think that for the majority, it's a numbers game, right? You need to see, the half of the equation, which is on paper, is the skills, right? And the resume. But there's a heck of a lot more during the interviewing that is even more important. And you better subscribe and like, because there's a lot more coming in the forward videos and the ones that I'm going to do in the series that will tie all this together. But I just wanted to start off a baseline, sort of from a leadership or a hiring manager standpoint, where kind of you start off, right? And it's important because there's not a lot of videos out there that talk about how do I recruit? Like, okay, I need to hire someone. Well, how do I know if I'm going to hire someone, right? So just giving you some ideas around what's going through my mind and how I'm proactive and upfront with how I lay things out and make the case for a position. And from my experience, how a position gets approved and gets into HR's hands, and how do I go about that process as far as that. And so then HR, they'll submit it to their avenues that they think work for them or they've got contracts with. And then you just sit back and you go, okay. And you just stare at your computer and you're checking your inbox and you're going, where are you? Tap, tap, tap. No, but they'll start coming in. The one thing I want to mention to you, though, is that I've had mostly great experience with HR department, okay, with your HR, and it could be one person, right, and or in some cases your HR as a startup, right? So, but I'm trying to take the general sort of midline here, where you have an HR department, and it's very important that you keep a communication going between you and HR, and what do you expect from them, and where does it get handed to you? If you're more of an HR person yourself, then they're just going to forward it to you, or you'll get it sent right to you, right? I mean, but as they're a key component of vetting, the initial resumes based on your job description, what's the filtering process for them? So you want to have that conversation with them up front, so okay, well, I want the filter off. I want to just get everything first. And you might want to do that. And then the volume might go up as far as how many you receive, and you might see the quality going down. So this is where you come back and you give feedback and say, hey, listen, I got 10 resumes this week, and they're only half of them I would even consider. So what's the key around the ones you wouldn't consider, right? And it might be not enough experience, right? So you can go back to HR and say, listen, if you can, when you get them, can you at least make sure that they have the years of experience? Or maybe it's an in-person job, and a lot of these people are looking for relocation, or they want to work remote. And you might decide, well, no, I don't need that. So those are key things that you want to either give up front when you're give to HR as information up front, or you refine so that you get more of a tailored approach. And most HR departments will like this. And others, they just do plain vetting, saying, okay, well, they sort of meet it. And you have to realize that HR doesn't know, it doesn't have the knowledge of what you're looking for, nor the technical knowledge or the expertise in so you have to be very to the point of what you're looking for. And there could be key words too, right? Because they're not looking at it the same way as you are, the resume. So you want to make sure that that you're giving them as much feedback as possible to make this a streamlined and effective process. So that covers the HR component of this, and I think that gives you a better idea of your interaction with HR. It's not just throw stuff over the fence and then wait for something, right? You wait for the emails, but all in all are from HR. But it's just how to refine it better, because no hiring manager wants to deal with hundreds of resumes that they have to go through on their own they want to apply some kind of filter to those, if possible, right? Um, and but they also don't want HR to filter out possible candidates, right? Because you have the eye for it. HR has a certain capacity and also a certain knowledge of what you're looking for. So I err on the side of give me more. You're looking for that gem, right? and and also the time of recruitment makes a big difference too. So depending on the time of year, you might have better luck than other times. So you might have to pull the ad or pull it and then wait for a month and go back in or refresh it somehow. The reason I'm going through this hiring process mini series with you is because we want to reduce as much as possible the attrition rate in your department. Not only for the overhead it takes and the expense it takes to go through and find the right person, it's the turmoil that you're putting your team through and the rest of the company through, or the people that are working with this person through, um, and it just creates so much disruption from getting good work done. And so I treat hiring process as serious as I can, and give it as much attention as I can. And there isn't a lot of time in my world, but I also realize that the more I put up front and invest into this, the more it'll pay off dividends in longer term. And in this series, in this hiring process series, I'm going to be putting forward, I'm going to talk a little bit about how my team what's my team's role in all this? What are my peers' roles? What's my boss's role? So if you have any specific questions or things during the hiring process, leave me a comment and I'll incorporate them into the series. Okay? So I think that's it. That's going to do it for this part one. And thank you for choosing the channel and your interest in making your leadership better at whatever level you're at. Till next time. Bye for now.